we'd like to share it with, you'll get a copy of the webinar emailed to you, I think the day after, so that way tomorrow, once the webinar is actually finished. Okay. So I'll just go into presentation mode here. Hopefully you can all see my screen now. Okay. So ROI Print Manager. If you're familiar with ROI, you'll know that historically we've tended to focus on print auditing, print usage tracking, rules-based printing. But we've done a lot of work over the last 18 months and delivered a lot of new functionality, particularly around the area of embedded apps for secure print release or pool printing and cost recovery applications. The latest module that we have released, I'm just about to release actually, we call the Centralized Print Driver Management and Deployment. So this is just one of a number of modules that you can license within ROI Print Manager. Each module is a separate license, separately priced, so we're a lot more flexible than our competition when it comes to putting together a value for money solution for your customers. And obviously we can either have an a la carte pricing model, or we can bundle up all the various modules together to allow you to get a advantageous price for delivering all the functionality ROI offers to your customers. Before I start, I'm just going to quickly run through some of the key modules that we've got. Print and copy usage tracking reporting is basically where we started. So we have a number of ways in which we can actually do that. We can either track the print usage by using a local desktop agent, which we deploy to the user's PC workstations. And we can track not only network print usage, but also locally attached print usage as well. You can alternatively use our server deployment, so we can track all the print usage centrally that we see. Obviously in that scenario we don't get the local print usage. To capture everything, we would deploy the agent to the user's desktop, as well as monitoring usage from the server. That way we get a more accurate reading of what people are doing. The most accurate information actually comes when we're taking the information from the device through our embedded applications, and that also allows us to track copy usage as well for MFPs. So we're actually taking the readings from the device and tying that up with the user data that we capture from the way that users submit their jobs. So quite a comprehensive solution for just simply tracking print and copy usage. We obviously have a wealth of standard report templates that can be used for generating reports, scheduling reports within the customer, seeing what's happening, giving them that management information for more informed decision making over controlling the print environment. Typically we recommend that end users track their print usage to begin with, so they understand who's printing what they're actually printing, what applications are printing from, and what they're actually doing on the print devices that you've got within the environment. And then they can begin to either deploy some very basic print rules, such as controlling color, redirecting output to more cost-effective devices, introducing things like quota management, so we can have quotas based on number of prints or clicks, or even price-based quotas, so we can give users a budget, or we can even give groups of users a budget. Software synchronizes very easily and very simply with Active Directory and LDAPs, so we can pull in user information from even the largest LDAPs. We've got a number of school districts that are using our software, so we're pulling in literally hundreds of thousands of users and able to cope with that quite effectively. Something else that we offer in terms of a feature is cost recovery. This is where we allow users to select the account, or cost account as we call it, that they want to charge or bill whatever they're doing, whether they're printing, whether they're copying, whether they're scanning, or whether they're faxing. We can allocate any of these key functions to a cost account. We have a comprehensive pricing model so that customers can have different pricing models for different customer accounts. This is particularly useful in the legal environments where cost recovery is probably one of the main features that they desire from solutions such as ROI Print Manager. But a lot of businesses, commercial organizations are using cost recovery now to reallocate or recharge back the cost of using the print equipment to the various departments, and we see a lot of that within the educational space. We can output the reports in a variety of formats, data formats such as CSV or XML, so that customers can integrate it into their billing applications quite easily, or manipulate the data offline in spreadsheets or other packages. Through our embedded application on MFPs, we offer a single sign-on functionality, and this is where users would first of all identify themselves to the MFP before they do any printing or copying in particular. We offer a number of methods of authentication. We offer the traditional integration to ID cards through ID card readers. We support virtually all cards on the marketplace today through our partners such as RF Ideas and Elitech. And we also offer a number of other options such as soft login using the user's network credentials actually on the control panel of MFPs. If that's too much for them to type in, we can reduce that. We can offer them short codes or pins. And we can also offer them an application. We've got a mobile app, and one of the functions of the mobile app is to authenticate users at MFPs. Once the user is authenticated, we can then control access to the MFP services, the key services such as printing, copying, scanning, and faxing, through our permissions-based user authentication, and we can provide single sign-on access to other third-party applications such as scanning applications and faxing applications. And the secure print release that we offer, usually tied to the user authentication, allows users to basically store their jobs on our server and walk up to any print device in the customer environment and release their print jobs, whether it's one print job or multiple print jobs at a time. Through our embedded applications for MFPs, we have a very easy to use interface that is common across the different brands of MFPs we support, so there's minimal user education and learning, and they can access their jobs through the control panel of the MFP. When they're releasing jobs at network printers, obviously we don't have control panel on network printers, but we offer network card readers, and we also offer the functionality of our mobile app to release jobs to any network connected print device. Our mobile offering also includes the ability to send from any mobile device to any print device on the network. That's done either through our mobile app for iOS or Android, or alternatively users can submit emails with their jobs attached, which we can make available to them within their personal queues to release at devices, or we can print it out at specific devices. We have integration to Apple's AirPrint functionality, so we can allow users to use AirPrint within an environment without the restrictions that AirPrint traditionally has, by making the devices available even when they're not on the same domain as the user's Wi-Fi network. We also support Google Cloud Print, so for customers particularly using Chromebooks these days, with Google Cloud Print being the main mechanism by which they print, we can support that, we facilitate that, but also we add value by enabling us, the customer, to track the usage put controls on it, such as print rules, and offer a secure print release feature. So we've got a lot of other functionality within the product. But for now, I'm going to focus solely on the centralized print driver management functionality. So in many businesses, customers are using print servers to allow their users to print. Print servers have advantages to many organizations, as in it helps or enables help desk to easily manage the printing environment, manage print queues, and also push out drivers to the user community. So the multiple uses of print servers that help organizations in many ways, but increasingly it's much easier for users to connect directly to print devices. Unfortunately, that then leads to a bunch of other issues and problems, particularly around ensuring that the user has the correct print driver for that device. We see a lot of customers that are print servers that have these issues even with a controlled environment, but increasingly we're seeing even large organizations not having print servers and allowing their users to configure print drivers themselves, which then leads to various printing problems, which then has an extra burden on the help desk to help resolve these issues, which is a problem for the help desk because they can't manage the queues and they can't access the print drivers effectively. So that's just some of the problems that they can experience with print servers. They're also very expensive. You know, some industry studies suggest it costs upwards of $4,000 to $5,000 a year just to maintain a print server. And of course, if the print server goes down, all printing stops within a business. So we don't want that. So ROI has a solution to that. So not only do we offer a print queue management feature, we also facilitate direct printing from users' desktops, but offer a centralized management infrastructure for managing the print drivers themselves. So here, rather than using the print servers, we typically deploy our agent that does a number of things on the user's desktop or laptop. It delivers down the correct driver for the user, makes sure that the users have access to the right print devices within their organization, allows them to then print directly to print devices, reducing network traffic. And through the integration to our desktop agent, we can track all the usage. We communicate from the ROI server that's deployed within the customer network. So it reduces network traffic, makes it a lot more efficient for organizations to manage and deploy what their users are doing. Some of the key features of the module include the ability to automatically import printers and drivers from existing environments. Obviously, migration is very important to a lot of customers, and they want to minimize that migration period and the disruption to the business. So we can simply just pull across an existing print server environment, use that as the basis to building up what we call our organizational model, and use that as the basis to deploy the drivers to the various customers or computers, should I say, within the customer environment. Another way increasingly to do this is all via the LDAP and the Active Directory, which holds not only information about the users, but information about computers and increasingly information about the print devices on the network. So we can use Active Directory and or the print servers to pull all the information into ROI so that organizations can begin to build up this model of their environment. And it's this model that we use to centrally control what's happening within the environment. So it gives you a single view We're not processing the print jobs at this time, so if ROI server is unavailable for any reason whatsoever, then we can still allow the organisation to continue to print. We're not going to stop printing as a print server would do if it was to fail or not be available. For users that roam between locations, you might have various locations on a campus site, or you might have various offices across the country or throughout the world, and we offer a very easy self-service portal that users can simply log into, select the location that they currently find themselves in within the organisation, and select the print devices they want to access, and it will automatically download the correct drivers and queues for that user. Well, the best way to see what's happening here is to have a look at the software itself, so that's what I'm going to do now. So here we have our ROI Print Manager admin client. It's a web browser interface, so it can be accessed from anywhere inside or outside the firewall if you have permissions. So we can log in. You're going to see all the functions that are available within ROI because I've logged in as an administrator here. But what we're interested in today is the driver management functions that are available under this menu option. I'm playing about with it early this morning just to make sure everything's working okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the organizational model that I already created, delete the printers, and delete the workstations. There you go. So we now have a blank organizational model, so we're kind of starting from scratch here. So the first step we would do would be to look at the existing print servers and see if we can bring them across. We can do a network broadcast, so we can find all the print servers in the network and pull things across that way. Some organisations prevent us from doing that through their various firewalls and security policies. So if we can't do a broadcast across a network, we can target specific print servers. So we would type in the name or IP address of that print server and import the information one by one. The alternative and preferred method, I think, is to get all that information from LDAP or Active Directory. And we already have an LDAP configured for the scenario here. And what we're going to do is we're going to select some options. We're going to we can actually create an organizational model based on the organizational units within Active Directory. We can import printers and put these printers in the organization locations. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'll leave the organizational model just so you can see what happens there. You can import users, but we've already imported users within this system, so no need to do that. And we're going to import computers. Okay, so I select that. We're going to go off, interrogate the LDAP. We're going to pull across the information, and we're going to create our organizational model. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, it may take a reasonable amount of time, depending on how much information is in the customer's LDAP. So typically, we would recommend synchronizing with the customer's LDAP already. When we're doing an update within the system itself, just to give you an indication, to do a couple 100,000 users, which is very rare, it usually takes about 12 minutes within ROI Print Manager. So it's incredibly fast and efficient, and that's based on our enterprise architecture. So if we go to the organizational model layout here, what you can see is down the left-hand side, as it were, we have imported some organizational units to create a standard organizational model. This could be our starting point. We've got a whole bunch of unallocated printers here, and we've got a whole bunch of unallocated desktops. Now, what I'm going to do is just just confirm the synchronization with the printers through the LDAP connection, because I noticed that not all the printers came across there. So now if we go back into our organizational model, we can see that we've pulled everything across. Now, what I'm going to do in this instance is not use the organizational units for creating our model of the business. I want to have a more logical model to the organization, so I want to have locations instead of, you know, here we have, I think, cost centers. So I'm going to delete the organizational model that we brought in, and I'm going to manually start creating one. So here we simply start creating child and peer locations. So despite the accent, I'm actually based here in Austin, Texas. So I'm going to set up a fake or an imaginary multinational corporation, and I'm going to create an Austin, Texas location. I'm also going to create a location at our head office, which is over in Scottsdale, in Arizona. And just to fulfill the picture, I'm going to have a UK country organisation. Not going to go into too much detail in there. Under the Austin office, I have a couple of floors here, so I'm going to put in a first floor location, and then I'm going to put in a second floor location. So very easy to set that up. So you can see how we're kind of completing the organizational model, and that can be done to an existing model. You can adapt what you're bringing in from the print servers or your LDAP. Now, either through the locations menu option or by selecting this wee information bar, we suddenly are presented with some more detail about that particular location. So I'm going to give it a better description here. So that's the Austin office. There we go. Use what I've done already. And we can actually bring in a floor plan of that office. And this is particularly useful for the self-service portal that we want to present users with an actual floor plan of the office so they can see where the print devices are. Okay, so we'll confirm that. The floor plans we can bring in are standard JPEGs or PNG images. Typically you'll find a floor plan within the office for fire prevention purposes. So it's very easy just to kind of take pictures if you don't have the actual CAD drawings available to you. So here within the second floor now, we can see that this icon is illuminated, and we now have a floor plan associated with the second floor here in Austin. Well, what I want to do now is I want to start allocating print devices and computers to that particular location, because that's how we're going to push out the print drivers to the various desktops. We're going to make sure we've got the right printers and the right PCs within that location. So if we haven't done that automatically from the LDAP imports, we can simply select a number of devices. So let's select a Canon, a Ricoh, Sharp, a Toshiba, and we simply drag that across and release that into location. So now you can see within the second floor we have these 4 devices available, and they've disappeared from the unallocated printers cost list. I know I've got some Xerox devices, and they're typically down the bottom of the alphabetical list. So I'm going to use my filters to find the print devices that I want to bring across. So I see here we've got a couple of Xerox devices. I'll just take one of them and plop them over into the second floor. Okay, and then get rid of that. I'm just going to pick a handful of devices. There we go, and then I'm going to plop them in that location as well. So now we see that we've got a handful of print devices, we've got a handful of computers within that location. So we're now basically set up for to deploy the software. So in order to do that, rather than just push out the drivers, which would cause security issues within the business, we use our desktop agent to go down to the user's desktop. We'll deploy that as a kind of standalone agent. We will then make a connection back to the server so that the call is always coming from the user's desktop rather than coming from the server down to the user's desktop. So we're not breaching any security policies here. The desktop will talk back to the server and ask what the configuration information is for that particular desktop. So for imaginary purposes, we've already deployed our agent to the PC1 desktop here. So when we configure the software and set everything live, then that particular desktop will receive the print drivers and print queues for these 5 devices in that particular zone or location. We also want to kind of use this, as I said, for a self-service purpose. So we're going to drag some of these print devices across. Let's just clear that filter and pull across. Let's pull across a Kyocera device here. So we've got that as well. So we're going to plop some of the devices onto our floor plan here. We can move them about, be as accurate as you want. And now, when we are going in as a user, we can go in and we actually see that floor plan itself. So one of the other features of the software is a self-service portal. So we'll start from scratch again. So here we're going to. Where's my bookmarks going? I'm going to open up the portal. So when a user logs in, they simply just see the organizational model. They go to the location that they're in and you see exactly the same print devices and exactly the same floor plan that we've created as the administrator. So if I was just newly in the Austin office and come in from Scottsdale, plonked myself down at a spare desk on the 2nd floor and wanted to start printing, all I would do was select this location as my current location, and the software would communicate with the agent on my desktop. It would download the drivers for the various print devices that are available to me, and I would be able to start printing quite fast and not have problems and issues with asking somebody or phoning up IT and trying to find out when I can print. So making everything rather efficient, rather easy and intuitive for the end user itself. So that is a very brief overview of the solution. It shows you how quick and easy it is to set up an organization to deploy drivers. Obviously in the real world it takes a little bit longer. There's a lot of preparation involved to make sure that we've got the correct permissions on the network, etc. But typically we can start deploying a print driver, centralized print driver architecture within a day in most organizations. Obviously the larger the organization, the more complex it is, the more planning and preparation needs to go in place to make sure everything is working okay. So that concludes our brief overview of the print driver management solution here. I'm going to go in and see if there's any questions for us. I think we've got a few questions from some of the people online. How do we import drivers? Okay, so what we typically recommend is that the ROI server is deployed within the customer network. It could be deployed within a cloud environment. We would recommend a private cloud environment, and the architecture is designed to support that infrastructure so that we can get the communications from the desktop agents up to the server to open a port, open a channel, so that we can pull down the information from the ROI server that's outside the firewall. But typically we're running the ROI server inside the firewall, and whilst we can pull across the drivers from existing print servers, we typically recommend loading the print drivers onto the ROI server. So if we go into the registered drivers menu option here, you see we've begun to install some of the drivers for the various print devices. So we have all the kind of correct drivers in here, and that way when we need to update them, we can simply come in here, we can update the drivers, and that will be pushed out to all the users' desktops that are using that particular driver. The printer configuration, which you can find within this menu option, typically specifies the print driver that you're going to use. So again, we're selecting the print driver here, we're assigning it to the particular print device, which is being then pushed out to the user. So when we update the print driver, it's going to look at all this information, and if you've got your naming conventions correct, and touch wood, everything else will work seamlessly. So that all happens in the background. Another question we've got here is can we schedule things? Yeah. Within our overall settings and configuration within ROI, we can go into the kind of local agent here. So we look at our local agent settings, and there's a number of things that the local agent actually does in addition to driver management, such as print tracking and rules notification and cost recovery. But here we have a number of menu options. One is, for example, delete unmanaged printers. So if you select this option, when we're deploying the agent to the user's desktop and it gets its new configuration down, it will remove the print queues and print drivers that it finds that's on the user's desktop to tidy it up. So typically a preferred option that we would recommend. We can also set intervals for printer definition refreshes. So here we're setting it to 1 day. You select the option, you will see that we can set it to 1 minute or 30 days. So it's a fairly configurable solution in terms of the timing intervals that you want to do. If there's an overall configuration change, we can force the agents to look for a global change to the system, and that way we can initiate a rollout from the server to all the users' desktops within a particular location, or within a particular site, or even globally across the whole organization. When I say desktops, I mean any computing device that we're going to need to deploy the drivers to, so including that desktops and laptop devices. Okay, another question, can this be used in conjunction with a pool printing functionality? The answer is yes. We can deliver driver management as a standalone module, as I mentioned earlier, or you can switch on any of the other functionality that's available within ROI. So you may want to initially just deploy a certain level of functionality to the customer, and then switch on new functionality as and when they're ready for it, or when they pay you for it. It's an excellent tool mechanism to upsell the customer to the additional functionality. When you first install the ROI server, it comes with all the functionality of the software. So we control access to it by licensing, and not by having to install new components. So the first install will deliver everything the customer could potentially need, even though they're only using a small amount of the functionality. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. If you've got any other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. As I said, you'll be getting a copy of the presentation, recording of the presentation delivered to you in your mailbox, hopefully within the next 24 hours. If you haven't received it, please get in touch with us, and feel free to go onto our website, roiprintmanager.com, and there we go, and you'll be able to access our full webinar schedule. So we've got a number of other exciting webinars coming up, such as print rules. We've got a general overview of the solution. We're looking at our embedded solutions and cost recovery as well. So we've got a range of webinars on a rolling schedule that will be occurring over September and into October, and no doubt into November as well. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and see you soon. Cheers now. Bye.